Remember in 2007 when Mo Williams was Robin to LeBron's Batman? Well, Robin has returned. Mo Williams heading back to Cleveland on a 2-year, $4.3 million deal. Kerry Chow joined by ESPN senior NBA writer Brian Windhorst. Brian, on paper, this seems like a great deal. What do you make of it?
Well, Mo Williams has been eyeing the Cavs for the last couple of months. He really has been interested in coming back because he had some of the best years of his career there. And I think from the Cavs' perspective, this is a value signing. He's, they got him for a little over $2 million for this year, and considering what some other players have gone for, that's a pretty good deal. He can play both guard positions. And I think the Cavs had to do something this summer where they had a starter quality guard that they could bring off the bench for when Kyrie Irving either goes down with injury or as he recovers from his knee injury that he suffered in the finals. He may not be able to start the season as he recovers from that. So they were able to do that here. The other side of it is, he's 32 years old and, past his prime, and he's a small guard. And so it's very difficult to see him in scenarios playing alongside Kyrie Irving or playing alongside Matthew Dellavedova, because it would leave the Cavs vulnerable defensively. And he's not a great defensive player. So ideally the Cavs would have gotten a bigger guard, but they certainly investigated the market, weren't able to do that. And they're not done making moves. They may be able to make a trade, or they may re-sign J.R. Smith. So all in all, I think you got a guy who's very excited to be back in Cleveland. Cavs got him on a good contract in the summer where they're spending a lot of money, and he should fill some needs that they have.
You mentioned the Cavs' moves aren't done. They've been very active this free agency. But I want to know, Brian, are free agents, how do they perceive David Blatt? Because last season the Cavs brought in several big-name players. Everybody wants to play with LeBron, like, say, Sean Marion, Mike Miller. But then come playoff time, they didn't really get normal minutes. They certainly didn't figure into the rotation. How do players perceive David Blatt? And in addition to that, are they concerned about playing time?
Well, I think that would be a fair question to ask David West right now, because, the Cavs were on his short list and he chose to play for San Antonio for less money than the Cavs could offer. I don't think it was an accident that the Cavs waited until David West signed in San Antonio before using part of their mid-level exception on Mo Williams. So, maybe the uncertainty over playing time and David Blatt's reliance on not going with the older veteran players in the playoffs maybe played a role there. Only he really knows that. But I do think that, in general, David Blatt has to have more of his roster ready next season coming into the playoffs. This year was a little bit extreme. The Cavs had an extreme situation. They made a couple of trades mid-season. But by the end of the year, he was only playing 8 guys in the rotation in the regular season, and that didn't bode well for them when they needed help at the end. So when David Blatt reevaluates things this year, I think there's a chance he tries to play more players and get more rest for guys. But I don't know how that affected Mo Williams' decision.
Gotcha. We'll see how many minutes Mo Williams ends up playing next season. ESPN senior NBA writer Brian Windhorst, thanks as always. For the latest on free agency, keep it on ESPN.com's NBA page.